Hello friends, Clage back with another video today, and it is time for our first full-fledged character guide in Punishing Grey Raven. Today I'm going to be talking about the newest S-rank ice attacker, Shukra. Chu is our newest S-rank omniframe in the game that debuted in the current patch we are on right now, and she is going to be the linchpin of the ice team for a very long time going forward. As it stands currently right now, Chu is a soloist character that carries the ice team on her back and is going to completely revamp that team from the ground up. So I'm going to talk to you about Chu's equipment, her skills, her evolutions, what her playstyle is like, how to do her rotation, and then I will offer team builds, pull recommendations, and all that good stuff on anything and everything with our new Ice Queen. So, let's get right down to it. Let's start with equipment for Chu. So, what you're going to be looking to do in the long run is this set of memories. You're going to want her 4-piece signature set, Jibon. Pretty much all S-rank characters from the last 2-3 years have a signature memory set, and Chu is no different. You want to have her signature memory set. It boosts her damage massively. It's not a question. This is always on. The most recommended second set to go with her is Qinjuin. This, and I apologize, I know I am butchering the ever-living hell out of these Chinese pronunciations. I'm sorry, I'm still just a white Midwest kid. My pronunciation on anything with Asian language is awful, so I do apologize in advance. But Chin set is very, very useful for ice teams. It just got revamped in this patch, and it is the ideal secondary set. If you can't harmonize yet, if you don't have the resources or ability to do harmonizing on weapons yet, you can do a 2-piece of Qinjian, but it is highly, highly recommended that you get Chu harmonized with her signature weapon, because the 4-piece damage, 4-piece set damage is incredibly useful for this character. So definitely worth it to save up your resources from Clash Reflection mode to harmonize her signature weapon, assuming you can afford to pull it right now. And I'll talk more about that here in a couple moments, but this is the ideal memory set. This is basically good for any and all content you want to mess with Chu. There is a alternate set you can do for Phantom Pain Cage to attempt to slightly speed up your Pain Cage kills. And that set is doing her 4-piece signature and then swapping out Qinjian for 2-piece Kadi, the signature move buffing set, and then harmonizing the 2-piece Darwin set. This helps with activating ult a little bit faster and is not a preferred set outside of Phantom Pain Cage, where your only goal is ulting and just putting the boss in the ground as soon as humanly possible. Don't feel the need to build up 2 memory sets just for both modes. That's something that is a very in-game min-maxing sort of thing. If you do this set, get it leveled up to max, and do hyper-tuning and all that good stuff, this will carry you through everything. This is all you really need. If you are an in-game player, you can afford to build up extra memory sets just for that little bit of min-maxing, then by all means, do 4-piece signature, 2-piece Kadi, 2-piece Darwin. For your resonances, very straightforward. Up top, any 15 attack, doesn't matter what the other stat is. Non-physical characters can't crit, so there's no point in re-rolling for crit, so just any 15 attack up top works fine. And signature +1 on all of the bottom. Her signature is the key of her entire kit. You want to have it as high of a level as you possibly can, so you'll want to resonate that on the bottom. So, and hyper tuning is highly recommended for your DPS, especially your hard carry attacker DPSs. Again, Chu is basically a solo character until we get an upgraded ice tank down the road. She is going to be the only character on the field. It is absolutely worth it to spend the guild currency to hypertune all of her memories and get her set up with, you know, all of the full hypertune bonus and all that good stuff. So highly recommended to do that as well. As for her weapon, she has 2 main weapons you should be looking to use. If you cannot afford to pull her signature weapon right now, the 5-star Phoenix Edge will hold you fine. It's not going to do anything special, but it has plenty of attack, and it increases ice damage. Very simple, very straightforward. If you can afford to do it at all, you want to get her signature weapon, the Akasa Keyblade. Increases attack by 10% across the board, which is huge, but the big thing about this weapon is that upon activating Into the Fray, which is part of her core passive, I'll go over that when we get to combat details, it will automatically put Chu into Matrix. This is very, very, very useful, and when casting Mountain Caller, which is also a part of her core passive, she will get more extra signature energy, which helps keep your rotation smoother, let you ult quicker. These are all very, very, very good benefits. I won't say that Chu's gameplay is locked behind her signature weapon, but you will feel so much better playing the character if you can get it. And the most important part about her signature weapon is that it opens up the options for harmony, as I said earlier. If you're doing the main set, you're going to want to harmonize Shinjian to a 4-piece memory set. If you're doing the Phantom Pain Cage build, this is where you would harmonize Darwin instead. And even more importantly is, at the end game, if you can afford to resonate your signature weapon, the big things that Chu benefits from, first and foremost, is deadline timing. Chu is a very, very orb-hungry character. She chews through orbs like nobody's business. So having deadline timing is an absolute massive recommendation, especially for longer fights. Warzone, Norman Wars, stuff like that. Very, very highly recommended to be on deadline timing. If you are doing quicker fights like Pain Cage, you can use Matrix Lightning. This goes really well with the signature weapon because she automatically triggers Matrix for you when she uses her core passive. This means you don't have to wait for an enemy to attack, so you can Matrix dodge. That speeds up fights significantly. And Glorious Afterglow is just a good all-around DPS boost for any character that can regularly 3-ping, and spoilers, Chu can regularly 3-ping. My normal setup for most content is going to be Deadline Timing and Glorious Afterglow if you can afford 2 Resonances. Resonance is very in-game. I understand if you don't have either the Resonance USB stick to use or you don't have spare 6-star weapons lying around. Don't worry about this. This is very in-game. Min-maxing Chu works fine without Resonance, but if you can afford it and you have an extra sitting around, I highly recommend at least one, if for nothing else than to have access to Deadline Timing. This is a great, great Resonance skill for her. Really, 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 really good. So, and her last piece of equipment, her cub, if I can click on things properly, Huiyu is a solid cub. Does not significantly alter Chu's gameplay, but it is a nice damage increase, and it does help group, which is very handy if you roll a war zone where you're fighting the multiple enemies at a time. Chu also has natural grouping built into her kit and her core passive, so it's not as tantamount as it is for characters that have no grouping at all. Characters like Bianca are a good example. But Chu, you don't need the cub. If you can afford it, it is absolutely worth grabbing, because it is a nice bonus in damage, and again, extra grouping is never a bad thing to have. But if you need to pass on the cub to ensure you can roll on future S-rank characters and stuff, by all means, skip it. You can always go back to it. If you think you can afford the cub, obviously you want to do that right now, because with the patch going, the cub is on 100% rate up, which is always nice. You don't have to risk rolling someone else's cub by accident. So that's always good to do if you can do it right now. The weapon, obviously, if you need to skip, that's fine. Weapons are always 80% rate no matter when you roll on them, so don't feel bad if you do have to wait to roll on a weapon. Again, no big deal there. So, let's go back. Now, let's talk about Chu's skills. So, I'm not going to go super into detail on every single name, because if I inundate you with 20 different skill names and core passive names, you're just going to have your eyes gloss over and be like, Clage, please shut up. And you know what? Fair. So, just in general, we'll go over her orbs in combat, and we'll go over all the core passive, how her ultimate and stuff works in combat, because if I spout all these names at you, it's just going to be a huge pain. But more importantly, let's talk about her evolutions, because if you're familiar with PGR, or even if you're new, the biggest unlocks for a character's kit comes in the form of evolutions. That's when you get extra shards of a character you've already rolled, whether it's buying them through Pain Cage every week or rolling extra copies to convert to shards. These are where you get the big unlocks in a character's kit that can really turn them from a good DPS to a godly DPS. So let's go over these evolutions and which ones are important. So at S5, so halfway through S rank, which you can get for free by doing Phantom Pain Cage and saving up shards, what will happen is basically when you go into Ultimate, it will activate all QTEs. This is pretty much a standard buff that almost every modern character gets at rank S5. It's always nice to have your QTEs turn on when you go to ult, because then you can use Da Vinci bots. That's that much more damage. It is a key core part of playing Punishing Grey Raven at high level. Absolutely no excuse to not get this far. Double S rank is very nice quality of life. This should be your bare minimum goal for Chu, and I'll go over build and how many polls you should do later in the video. But double S rank should be your in-game target at bare minimum as a free-to-play player. It's very nice quality of life. So when Chu is switched into the field, she gets 1 stack of her core passive. This is very nice. This effectively saves you from using a 3-ping out the gate. So this saves you 3 orbs, and for a character that's as orb hungry as she is, that's great. Very useful. And then the 3 pings will increase stacks on her ultimate faster and also give some extra damage. This is just good all-around quality of life. This is what unlocks Chu as she's meant to be played, quote-unquote. You really want to get this character to double S. She feels notably more clunky and less smooth until you get to double S. But again, even as a free-to-play, as long as you can get your 1 copy from the gacha before she goes off rate up, you can get her to double S via Phantom Page Cage Skulls. It's so hard to say that quickly. Also, I'm just, bad at talking, even though it's what I do for a living. And don't worry about that. Moving on, double S3, her extra bonus goes up by 1/4, 25% for 8 seconds when she goes into her core passive. This is a nice damage increase. Not something I would call make or break for having the character perform. If you can get here, cool. Extra damage bonus is always nice, far from a hard requirement. Triple S is a very powerful upgrade. In general, base damage goes up on her core passive, but most importantly, the big thing that this enables is that Chu has 2 different style of ultimates. I'll go over those in the combat demo, but the long and short of it is that with triple S rank, her rotation then allows her to get the buffs of both types of ultimates on every single ultimate. And I'll go into details how that works, but the long and short of it is your ultimate gets much stronger with this buff. This is a pretty notable damage increase. It also adds more flexibility to your rotation. It's quite good. But triple S is expensive. That is 4 copies at minimum rolling, plus the 30 shards you get from the Phantom Pain Cage, so this is not cheap. Obviously, you're not going to get here without being a spender, and if you're not a spender, I absolutely do not recommend going for this, because that is a lot of investment to a single character, and with the global synchronization starting, characters are going to come fast and furious, so plan your resources accordingly. For beyond triple S rank, triple S3 increases the damage of her core passes, triple S6, 3 pings, and her basic attack and all that stuff gets bigger, and then triple S plus is increased ultimate damage. These are pretty standard buffs for everybody. This is pure whale territory. If you absolutely love the character, or you are willing to drop hundreds and hundreds of dollars to roll all the way up to 7, 9, or 11 copies, then go in, my mans, have a good time. You will have one hell of a character to play with. These are all completely unnecessary to play Chu, even at high level, and compete for top scores. Like, you will be able to hold your own on the leaderboards at your current ranks if you get to double S just fine. So that goes over all of her skills, her evolutions, basic equipment, all that good stuff. So let us go hop into the training mode, and I'm going to go over how Chu functions in combat and give you some demonstrations on how to play the character. Alright, so now that we're in the training mode, I'm gonna go over demonstrations of how Chu's kit works, and what her attacks do, how to play her, all that good stuff. So let's get started on that front. So let's start with the absolute bare bone basics. Her basic attack string, pretty straightforward. It is a 5-hit combo. You'll want to learn to weave in basic attacks with your usual usage of her orbs. The main reason being is that it helps smooth out her signature energy gain, make sure you're able to ult on time during her rotation. So it is a good habit to get used to using orbs and then weaving in maybe a single basic between pinging your next orb. Good habit to learn early on. It will help smooth out rotation. It'll help build you more signature energy. Otherwise, Chu is not a character you're going to be mashing on basic attack very often. She's centered entirely around her core passive and her orbs. So don't worry too much about this. You're not going to want to be mashing it all the time. But weaving in a single hit here and there between your orbs is not a bad habit to get into for the sake of smoothing out signature. So next, let's go over the actual orbs themselves. Chu is a little different than older characters. She does not particularly care which orbs she uses. She is not strictly bound to a certain color or pinging certain orders of colors to get her core passive to work. All she cares about is using orbs and using them in a specific manner. But let's go over each orb in a vacuum and what it does so you know how to get used to it. So her blue orb lets out a long-range ice projectile. Obviously, if it's a 3-ping or matrix ping, it will do more ice damage. The less number of orbs ping, the lower the damage. Pretty straightforward there. Her red orb is also her bring-in attack. She does a lunging thrust. So if you bring her in from off-field with a different character, that will be what she does to come on the field. This is also what will get her a stack of her core passive out the gate, as I mentioned in the evolution part of the video. So that's good to know, but again, what the orbs themselves do is not all that important. But her last one, her yellow orb, is a rising uppercut slash. Again, in a vacuum, what the orbs do themselves doesn't really matter. You are just using them for the damage they offer and to set up her core passive. So, I'm going to go ahead and reset the training stage so we can have all our orbs filled out again, and I can show you the basis of how Chu's gameplay works when you're actually playing her as intended. So, let me get this off here. So we bring in Chu. And her core passive, you'll see down here at the bottom of the screen, you have Chu's sword meter down here. And below the hilt, you will see 3 diamonds. These are what indicate the various stacks of her core passive. They look like little feathers that will pop up as you're doing her core passive. And how this works is if you are just starting out on the field, you've got nothing else going, you haven't triggered Metrix, you haven't brought her in for her bring-in attack to give you a free stack, you're running on an empty bank and you're starting from scratch. How this works is you always start with a 3-ping or Matrix ping from Chu. It's going to be a 3-ping if you're playing the character correctly because Matrix will automatically proc when you're doing her rotation later on. So when you bring her in, if you have no stacks yet, you haven't got anything going, you need to do a 3-ping, and then you immediately want to do a 1-ping. If you don't have a 1-ping available, take the best 2-ping that's available on your bar, but you want to go 3-ping into single ping. So I'm going to go up, and I'm going to do my blue 3-ping, and then a 2-ping. This puts her into her core passive. You'll see I have 2 stacks down here, and then the sword gauge meter filled all the way up. Okay, so that is the start of how we get into her core passive. Now, once you get 2 of these stacks here, the 2 feathers, the colors do not matter. Again, colors are completely irrelevant. You can have these be any set of colors you want. It is completely irrelevant to playing the character properly, so don't worry about what colors are here. All you care about is the number of stacks. The number of stacks is what enables Chu to use her core passive and to get into her ultimate. So I'm going to restart again so we can do this in motion. But the idea to get into her core passive, the first way, there are 2 ways to do this, is to get 2 stacks, and then what you're going to do is after you obtain 2 stacks, you're going to immediately hold dodge. And what this is going to do is activate an attack where Chu brings in a swirl of icy feathers that gathers up enemies, does ice damage, and also gives her a bunch of signature energy. And if you're playing the character right, have her built right, this is going to enable your ultimate to be able to be activated. So Chu has 2 different ultimates, quote-unquote. She has fast ultimate and her full ultimate. The 2-stack version of her core passive is what we refer to as fast ult. The core passive where you gain 3 stacks, 3 feathers down here on the gauge, is how you activate her full ult. But let's start with the easier and simpler core passive to activate her whirlwind attack, and then trigger ultimate. So again, we're going to run up. 3 ping, single ping, hold dodge. This swirls around, ultimate is available. Ping a matrix orb, and then hit ultimate again. You only need to ping, if you're doing the fast ultimate, like we just did there, you either need to ping a 3 ping, or if you have her signature weapon, going into the core passive is going to trigger matrix, so you should have a single matrix orb available after you've done the fast ult. The fast ult then allows you to use that matrix ping. That gives you the 3 stacks of her ultimate bar, and you can cast ultimate. Pretty straightforward. So let's do this one more time. Triple ping, single ping, hold dodge. Ultimate activates. Find your matrix ping. You see down here, the ultimate gauge is full. Hit ultimate. And the QTE timing is when Chu goes to cross her legs on the throne. That is your key to hit your Da Vinci bot on your QTEs. And that's how you do fast ult. That is very straightforward, pretty simple. Again, if you are operating at base S rank or don't, more importantly, don't have her signature weapon, you're not going to automatically go into Matrix by doing the 3 ping into single ping and holding dodge. So just keep that in mind. That means you will likely have to 3 ping to activate full damage on the ultimate there. So just keep that in mind. And as you can see, doing this means Chu is a very orb-hungry character. You have to manage orbs very, very well with this character. If you don't, she struggles. You're going to run out of orbs fast, and you really do not want to run out of orbs on this character, because right now she is so far and ahead of even a well-built Isla that you will have a massive DPS loss if you have to take her on the field. Ideally, for the time being, until we get our new ice tank, you put Chu on the field, and you do not take her off until everything in front of you is dead. So, that is her fast ult core passive, okay? So, let's go into the full ultimate core passive. So, it's very similar. We're going to do a 3 ping to start one off, get our stack. Then we're going to do a single ping. Then we do another 3 ping, and this is going to grant us 3 stacks down here on the sword gauge. And this will enable her to go into her full ultimate. So we're going to go 3 ping, single ping, 3 ping. And after you do that, you hold basic attack, not dodge. This one you hold basic attack. And this is what activates her full ultimate. When this happens, you will go into ultimate animation again. And unlike the fast ultimate, the full ultimate is going to require you to do 3 pings in a row if you want full damage, unless you are at a higher rank, and I'll go over that in a little bit. But, so, this time, we're going to go 3 ping, single ping, 3 ping, hold basic attack, ultimate, 3 ping, 3 ping, 3 ping, ultimate. Legs cross, QTEs. That's that. That's her full ultimate. Now, if you are double S or below, or basically if you're below triple S, you are going to alternate between doing fast ultimate, casting ultimate, then go back into normal combat, do her full ultimate, cast the full ultimate, rinse and repeat. Fast ult, ultimate, do the 3 ping core, or do the 3 feather core passive, full ultimate, trigger the full ultimate, back to fast ultimate for the next rotation. That is the gist. So, I'm going to go ahead and retreat one more time here, and I'm going to show you the whole rotation in motion. So, I'm going to do this with Chu on the field first again instead of a bring in. If you're playing for real, you're going to bring her in by having Isla run up close enough so she gets her stack automatically. But for the sake of showing you the whole thing from scratch, let's do this again. So, run up, and we're going to trigger our fast ultimate. 3 ping, single. I lost window focus for some reason. All right, thank you. Excellent. 10 out of good. The joy of recording live. It's the best. All right, one more time here. Maybe I don't lose window focus for no particular reason. Thank you, Windows. You're the best. All right, let's do this again. So, 3 ping, single ping, hold dodge, activate ultimate, hit a matrix orb, trigger ultimate, QTEs, done. 3 ping, single ping, 3 ping, hold basic attack, ultimate, 3 ping, 3 ping, 3 ping, ultimate, QTEs, And now we're back to fast ultimate. And again, because I didn't bring her in off the field, I'm already out of orbs. You're seeing how that's a problem. Getting that first stack of the passive by bringing her in is really, really good. So now that you've kind of seen the basics of the rotation, let's do it for real. So let's go as if this was an actual real fight. We're trying to kill a boss, or we're starting off our Warzone run, whatever have you. So we're going to go up with Isla. Let me get the training mode stuff off. But we go off with Isla. Bring Chu in. We get our first one. You can ping any single orb, hold dodge, and now you're already in the ultimate. Ping your Matrix Orb. You have full ultimate stacks, QTEs. Then 3 ping, single ping, 3 ping, hold basic attack, ultimate, 3 ping, 3 ping, 3 ping, ult. QTEs. And now we're back to this. 3 ping, single ping, dodge, ult, matrix ping, ult. Build up because we don't have quite enough words. 3 ping, single ping, 3 ping, hold basic, ult, 3 ping, 3 ping, 3 ping, QTE. That's it. You're playing Shukra. You've done it. If you are at below SSS rank, this is how you play the character. Manage your orbs. Go back and forth between fast ult and not fast ult. Watch the damage lay on. Lay waste to all your foes with our newly beloved Ice Queen. So, next, if you are at SSS or above, so for fellow spenders out there or people who absolutely have Chu as their favorite waifu, then your rotation does change slightly. It gains a little bit more flexibility, but more importantly, you gain a lot of damage. So, the general idea is going to be the same, but there's an important difference now. So, I'm just going to go through fast ult first to get things set up how it would normally be, and then we'll go from there. So, bring in single ping, dodge, ult, matrix ping, ult, QTEs. Okay, so we're set up for fast or full ult now, right? So we need to do a 3 ping, a single ping, a 3 ping. If you're at SSS and above, what you're going to do instead now is you're going to do 3 ping, single ping, and after the single ping, you're going to hold basic attack. What this will do is start Chu in a unique attack where she glides across the floor in a slide. During that slide animation is when you want to trigger your second 3 ping to get the third stack of the core passive down here on the feather. What this does is that if you are SSS rank or above, this activates both style ultimate buffs. So the fast ultimate is called fast ultimate because a single 3 ping fills the entire ultimate gauge down here, right? So you notice how when you do fast ult, it goes from having 1 bar to having 4. That's because it's got the fast ultimate buff. That's what happens when you do the core passive where you hold dodge and the ice whirlwind comes out. The core passive where you hold basic attack and she does the sword whip slash, what that does is it drastically increases the damage of her ultimate, but you no longer get the luxury of only doing a single 3 ping to fill the gauge. That's why you have to do 3 pings in a row to fill the ultimate gauge. If you are at SSS and you do this alternative rotation where you do 3 ping, single ping, hold basic attack to start the slide, and as the slide goes off, do another 3 ping, then what happens is both ultimate buffs are activated simultaneously, so you come out of the last 3 ping, hold basic attack to activate the whip slash, go into ultimate, and then you will only have to 3 ping once to fill the ultimate gauge. So, we're going to do 3 ping, single ping, hold basic attack, 3 ping as that animation goes off, then hold attack again. You can actually hold attack through the entire thing if you're nimble enough with your hands or your keyboard setup, however you prefer to control the game. Then go into ult, hit a single 3 ping or matrix ping, cast ult, you get both forms of the damage, donezo. So, let's see what that looks like in motion. So, 3 ping, single ping, hold attack, orb, hold attack, ultimate, and watch, I only have to hit 1 3 ping. Ultimate's full. QTEs. One more time. 3 ping, single ping, hold basic. 3 ping, hold basic. Ult. Single 3 ping. There you go. there is the triple S rotation for Chu Shukra. Which rotation you want to do at triple S is up to you. It's going to depend on how much you're wanting to activate time stop. I still tend to do fast ult, full ult, while having both buffs on the second ult. I'm slowly practicing doing the full ult every single rotation, and that is the ideal way to play the character at triple S rank and above. But if you don't utilize your orbs almost perfectly, you are going to run out. It can cause you to need to do more basic attacks for gaining orbs and or gaining signature energy. With enough rotations, every once in a while you get to a point where you'll trigger the core passive on the full ultimate, and you will be like just a tiny bit short of a signature energy proc, so you'll have to hit like 1 or 2 basic attacks before it comes out. Don't spend extra orbs if you're really close. Like if you're like right here, okay, on the ultimate, you're like the tiniest bit off of proccing the ultimate, don't spend an extra orb to get there. Always use basic attack. Her orbs are far too precious to spend on just getting that last bit of signature energy. The only time you would ever want to do that is if the battle is nearly over and you were just trying to squeak out ultimate as fast as possible. Only time you would ever use that. So that is the gist of how Chu's rotations work. It is a little tricky, I will say. It took me a good while, and that's why this guide is being made, you know, well, almost 3-4 weeks into this patch, is it took me a good while to get the flow of this character. You really have to pick your orbs specially. She kind of reminds me a lot of 21 Feral, our lightning amplifier, where you have to use 3 ping into 1 ping into 3 ping to do their base rotation. And it will take some time. It's a little clunky at first, but once you get into a groove with it, it feels great. This character is very smooth to play. She feels very fulfilling to hit the rotation consistently on. And if you're doing it right, all those Ice Week stages are about to have a big old accident. So that pretty much sums up how to play the character at base level. I'm going to have some demonstration videos here that I'm going to do commentary on, so you can see how it looks in motion for a Phantom Cage fight, something where you're just trying to do ult as fast as possible and delete the boss from existence. And then I have a video where I'm going to do a much longer fight from the final stage in Norman Revival, which is some of the hardest content in the game if you know anything about Norman War, so that I can kind of give you some pointers and just kind of talk over the gameplay while it's going on, and also be able to pause the video and stuff. So that will be coming out here in just a little bit. But first, let's go over builds and poll recommendations and all that good stuff. So let's get back out to this. So as mentioned, bare minimum for Chu should be a 5-star weapon and getting her to double S rank by getting 1 copy and then evolving her to double S via Phantom Pain Gauge Skulls. The signature weapon, again, extremely highly recommended. If you can afford it at all, please get it. It really makes the character so much smoother to play. And if you have the resonances around, at the bare minimum, deadline timing is absolutely worth having. And harmonizing Qingjuan for the 4-piece set is highly, highly recommended. Your harmonization material should always go towards the newest S-rank attackers. They thrive on these things. New tanks that come out thrive on these things. Any new character coming out this year that's a base S rank, you should be setting aside materials to harmonize. It is an expected part of the build at this point. It takes a while to build up materials from Clash Reflection. Don't fret if you can't do it right away, but a long-term goal should be her 6-star weapon and harmonizing. Her Cub, again, is optional. It is a nice bit of extra damage, and extra grouping never hurts, but it will not lock you out of playing the character how she's meant to be played. It's just kind of a luxury. If you have the Cub tickets and you really like Chu, go ahead and get it. If not, don't sweat it. As for her team, the meta team, if you are able to have the best options available, is going to be Chrome Glory as your tank, I currently have Chrome as my Da Vinci bot. I didn't get Chrome till well after his debut banner because I only started playing a couple years ago. So mine is not even to double S rank because I didn't really have the resources to evolve him while I was catching up with all the other characters. But Chrome is just a placeholder. He is the next tank that's going to get replaced, and he gets replaced by a free S rank in the near future, probably 2 to 3 patches from now. So sometime around spring, most likely, we will be getting a replacement for Chrome. Isla Kaleido is a free ice rank amplifier. You can get her for free by doing the dorm commission modes, as I showed in the Should You Pick Up PGR in 2025 video. So you can get her for entirely for free from that mode. She also is available in the voucher shop. So if you buy the battle pass, or as you earn vouchers naturally by doing event quests, you can get Isla completely for free. It is incredibly highly recommended. Amplifiers are the best supports in the game. Isla is no exception, and you can get her for free. There is absolutely no reason not to get her. If you have not built up enough to get her for free from the dorm or from vouchers, you can plug in Wanchi Hypnos as a support until then. Just turn him into a QTE bot. If you do not have Chrome Glory, you can use Chongyu. I kind of feel a little gross saying it. Chongyu is notably one of the weakest characters ever brought into the game. He is not a terribly good tank. But even if you don't have Chongyu or don't want to use him, if you're lacking a tank, you can always go with base physical tank Isla. That works fine. Base physical tank Kamui also works fine. But ideally, you have Chrome and Isla. Again, Chrome is going to be replaced. For their equipment, they're never going to see the field, so it's not nearly as important. For Isla, if you have the resources and can afford it, harmonizing her to be able to have 3 different buffing sets is very nice. In the long term, once we get our new ice tank, you'll want Isla to become your Da Vinci bot. So you'll have her on 4-piece Da Vinci, and then you will adjust your other sets based on the content of what mode you are doing. But if you could afford to harmonize her to have the extra room for a 2-piece memory set, that's great. Right now, since Chrome is already my Da Vinci bot, I'm currently using 4-piece Qin Juin, 2-piece Gloria, which is just all attacks reduce elemental resistance. This includes QTEs, so when I call my QTE on the field to proc Da Vinci, Isla's also shredding resistance by doing that, so it's just extra shred. And then I have harmonized 2-piece Gloria, so anytime she heals Chu just gets buffed elemental damage. Eventually, you will, again, swap her over to being a Da Vinci bot and pick which 2-piece sets you want through Harmony and whatnot, based on the gameplay you're doing, because eventually we will have a replacement for Chrome, and that replacement will see field time because he's a modern S-rank character, which means strong, good, excellent. So, yeah, those are the full poll recommendations, team recommendations. Cubs, doesn't really matter. I just always put Lingya on my characters that see the field basically not at all, or if they're on very briefly, just for the passive of pinging signal orbs grants the next character a blue orb. It's just one of those things. There's no reason to use high-end Cubs on characters that don't see the field, so Lingya is just a good alternative if it's a character that almost never sees the field, or if you're forced to bring them in briefly for some reason. Isla, obviously, signature weapon for the sake of being able to harmonize her and have more memory sets. Basically, the long and short of it is the meta ice team right now is these two give as many buffs and debuffs to enemies as humanly possible. You know, buff Chu as much as they can, debuff the enemy as much as they can, let Chu do the work. That is the game plan. So those are your pull and build recommendations. I'm going to go ahead and commentate over these couple different style of videos I have. Again, one is a Phantom Pain Cage run showing you how to play the character for maximum, get this boss off the screen as humanly possible. And then a Norman War boss fight for longer extended fights so you can see the rotation in motion. So I'll be right back with those. Okay, so going to start off with a Pain Cage example here real quick. Obviously, our goal in Pain Cage is ult as quickly as we can, as often as we can, keep the timer stopped, because stopping the timer is how you're going to reach the highest score in Pain Cage. So before we get into the fight proper, one thing I neglected to mention during team building, It does not really matter what order and what color you have for the ice team. Chu, again, does not care what color orb she is pinging, so there's no need to have Chrome or Isla on specific colors to set up QTE procs. Those are going to happen organically through her S5 skill. When you cast ult, you're going to get your QTEs, so don't worry about the color ordering. That's not important. Same thing with the starter. It does not matter as long as you have someone else on the field to bring Chu in. We want to have Chu do her bring in attack because that's going to give her the free feather stack if you're at double S, which you should be aiming to do. And even if you don't have her at double S yet, let's say you haven't gotten the pain cage tokens to evolve her yet, you still want to do this for the sake of getting into the habit. You're going to want to do this long term. So pick your starter of choice. It does not matter right now. I have Isla because in the long run, it's probably going to be Isla with the new ice tank coming out because you're not going to want to start with him on the field. That may change when we actually get him. I don't know that much about the ice tank yet, but just for simplicity's sake, I'm keeping Isla as my starter. And then obviously you want Chu as the leader because you want her to buff herself. So let's go in. So the idea, again, is going to be to ult as fast as possible. In my case, since I have a triple S Chu, what I'm going to be looking to do is come in, immediately do the fast ultimate, let it rip, proc my QTEs, and then go into the full ultimate setup with both buffs activated by doing the slide attack, pinging the second 3-ping, and then going into ultimate. If you are below triple S, you're going to do the rotation I showed you earlier. You're going to do fast ult, then do full ult. If she's not dead by then, she's probably pretty close. Do one more fast ult. That should be enough to finish the job, and you should be able to get a pretty decent score, even at double S. But so we go in, we start, we bring Chu in. This counts as the bring-in attack, so this is going to give me one of my feather stacks. It's going to proc here in a second. And how I do this is as soon as I see Chu come in this hit, I'm going to immediately hit a single ping orb. That gets me the core passive. I can hold dodge, go into dodge. I've activated Matrix thanks to her 6-star weapon. So now all I have to do is hold dodge, and we'll go into the whirlwind. Ultimate starts, and we ping our single Matrix ping orb. Something to note when you are doing fast ultimate, right? So let's back up a little bit here. So I've triggered fast ultimate. I'm in Matrix because Matrix procced from her 6-star weapon. And you can see my orbs are all lined up. I have my pick of the litter here, right? Something to note is that Chu's orbs do get reorganized when you go into her core passive. So if you've done fast ultimate, all you've done basically is ping a single ping orb, and that's it. And now you're in Matrix. So her orbs are going to be reorganized. That means your first 3 orbs are always going to be a set. Always, always, always going to be a set if you have her upgraded at any level whatsoever. So don't look to your first 3 orbs over here for your Matrix ping. You want to try and find a single ping so that you're maximizing the amount of orbs you have available. This is not quite as necessary in Pain Cage because, honestly, the boss is going to die in probably 1 or 2 rotations at most. But it's a good habit to have for long-term orb management. What I do is I always look to my last 2 orbs. If I see a single here or here, this is where I'm looking when these come on the screen. I have mine set to L2 plus square or L2 plus R2. However you have your control scheme set up, I strongly recommend just looking to your last 2 orbs. And if you need to guess, pinging the last orb is fine. If you're worried about just mashing and getting this done as quickly as possible, you can also do that. If you ping your very last orb, you're almost always going to spin less orbs than if you ping anywhere in the first 6. So just something to think about when you're doing fast ultimate. So we go in, proc ult. QTEs go off, and now we're going to do the full ult rotation. Again, since mine is triple S, I'm going to do 3-ping, single ping, hold attack. As the slide animation goes off, do my third 3-ping. That activates both buffs. So 3-ping, single ping, and then slide. I've pinged my third 3-ping. As you can see down here, we have all 3 feathers. They all happen to be blue this time. That's cool. Blue is my favorite color. Hold attack, sword whip, ult. Single ping. I accidentally mashed an extra one because I forgot I had activated both buffs, but it doesn't particularly matter because of time stop, and she's very dead. There we go. Pretty straightforward. Again, if you're not triple S, what you'll be doing there is you'll do 3 pings on the ult to get the maximum amount of damage. And then if she's not dead after the full ult, you'll go into 1 more fast ult rotation, and that will almost certainly be enough to drop the boss. So 313, not bad. pretty solid Hell Pain Cage Skull there. So that's your fast fight example. Let me queue up a longer fight so we can look at the rotation and longer motion and talk about that. Okay, so what I've done for a long fight example here, since Warzone is not ice this week, is I went back into Norman Revival. I've already completed this particular session of the Norman Revival, and I am redoing the Ice Week stage in the final mine. So these bosses are pretty tanky. These are some of the higher difficulty fights in the game that aren't like special events like Babel Tower and stuff like that. So same song and dance. We're looking to get Chew on the field, do our rotation, and go from there. So because this is a longer fight, your main goal, aside from just, not getting gripped or smacked by some of these very high damaging attacks that can happen in Norman War, is to manage orbs as best as possible. So we start things off same way, bring Chew in, single ping dodge, start fast ult, and something else that's important that'll come up, and I'll show it when we get to our next proc. So now we're doing full ult, going to the slide ping. Okay, so these attacks, the Sword Whip attack for the full ult animation setup, and the Ice Whirlwind of Feathers for the fast ult core passive setup. Important note here, both of these attacks have iframes. Chew is more or less fully invulnerable during these, so if a big attack is coming, this is a good way to make sure you don't get knocked out of what you're doing. I will say, in general, Chew does not have a lot of hyper armor until she gets to these particular parts of her rotation. So if you are just trying to ping orbs and get yourself ready to trigger your core passive, do be careful, especially against some of these bosses like in Norman War or Babel Tower, where they have a lot more ways to interrupt you. So now we're back to fast ult, same thing, Whirlwind Feathers go off, find our single ping. You saw me look towards the back end of the bar there to find my single ping. And now we're back on fast ult again. And you can kind of see. Occasionally I will do a dodge just to space myself out to set up the slide. But other than that, it's pretty straightforward. QTEs are up, and this should get us through phase 1. Now we go to phase 2. So, dodge. So right there, there's a perfect example. I couldn't remember if this is the fight I did this, but that's great. Not too far back here, but... So... Phase 2 starts. So he always starts phase 2 off by grabbing the bell and doing the roar attack. So I wait, proc my fast ult core passive here by doing the dodge and holding it. And now, even though this started to do some damage, you'll see from here on out, I take no more damage because Chew is in iframes. And this allows us to go right back into the whirlwind. And now we're ulting. Do our single ping, fast ult. QTEs. And now we're back to full ult. I dodge out of the way just to get out of the grab. And now we're back to full ult with both buffs. QTEs are back up. Sometimes if you get really in a groove, you can actually get your ultimate back up and running before your QTEs come off cooldown. That's honestly not a big deal, especially in longer fights like this where the goal is survival. We're not doing leaderboard stuff here. This isn't Warzone or Pain Cage, so it's not as important to make sure those QTEs are up. If you're doing your longer fights in Warzone and you know the pack you're on has a pretty large health bar left, it's usually worth waiting for those QTEs to be up. But that's the gist. So there you get to see the rotation in full motion. Pretty easy to remember. If you are below SSS, you're always going to do fast ult, full ult. You're just going to repeat that ad nauseum until you finish the stage. If you're triple S or higher, you can do fast ult, then the full ult with both buffs. If you are really, really good with managing orbs and you're really, really good at weaving in basic attack, you can do the full ult every single time, but you do have to be very careful with it. One single wrong ping will throw off your rotation, and you will almost certainly run out of orbs. I personally find it more comfortable to do fast ult, full ult for the entire rotation for these longer fights. Maybe as I get more comfortable with the team, or especially once we get our new ice tank, it will probably make a lot more sense if you're triple S or above to always go for the double buffed full ult every single rotation, because then if you do run out of orbs, that's fine. You have another viable character to bring on. So we'll update that once we get our new ice tank. But that pretty much covers it for the entirety of the Choose Shukra guide. So if you have any questions, if anything was confusing, or you want some clarification on how the character works, feel free to let me know down in the comments. Let me know how you feel about this particular style of guide for characters. If this works and it's information that's easy enough for people to understand and get a grip on playing the new characters, I will just kind of make this the norm for each new character I do a guide on. Obviously, I'm going to try and do a guide for every single new S rank that comes out in the future. There's also some A ranks I think are pretty cool, even though they're not going to necessarily be meta, that will be fun to do guides on with these updated patches coming out. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got. So let me know your thoughts. Was this easy to understand? Do you feel like you have a better grip on how to play Chu now if you didn't before? Are you more interested in rolling for the character if you weren't prior? Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know what you're looking forward to with the global synchronization plan. And as always, if you have any questions, any comments, leave them down below. I will also leave the link for grayravens.com down in the description. Again, that website is wonderful. It is chock full of very relevant, properly updated information. The whole team over at grayravens.com is great. They provide awesome information. And Gray Raven Radio, their YouTube channel, is something I've been watching basically since I picked this game up. They do wonderful content over there. Highly recommend checking them out as well. So that's going to do it for this first guide. Thank you so much for sitting through it. I'm sure it ended up way too long. I haven't looked at the timeline yet, but I know me, and me talk, and me no shut up. So thank you for sticking with it till the end, and I'll see y'all in the next one. So thanks for watching. Y'all take care, and peace for now.